Hello everyone and welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Josh, joined as ever by Ewan Patterson for another delectable, delicious news roundup. But first, Ewan, what a lovely hoodie you're wearing right there.
I know, it's great.
What do you think about mine?
I was wearing the same thing.
Yeah.
I was a bit awkward because like kids wearing the same thing. Yours is lovely as well.
Thank you. If you guys would like some lovely WhatCulture merch, there is a link down below to the Teespring. But without that plug out the way, we do have some news about loot boxes, because that's all we ever talk about, but it is actually very interesting and things are happening, especially in the UK government, because they're currently they're currently having a hearing about the ethical nature of loot boxes, microtransactions, and whether or not they are gambling. And just today, the Minister for Digital and the Creative Industries, Margot James, has actually kind of defended loot boxes as not being gambling, which isn't totally surprised. This is the stance that a lot of governments have taken on it, because yes, by conventional laws, it is not gambling, because you cannot take the rewards you earn in-game out and exchange them for monetary value in the real world. But the problem is that that's not necessarily the whole issue. It's not the fact that, you know, it's just a form of gambling. It's that it could potentially lead to gambling. We had that great research paper earlier in the week that I think Jules and I did a news report on, and actually found a correlation between loot boxes and then problem gambling in the future, which is frustrating.
Everyone's going to be taken by gamblor. Really bad. Yeah, no, it's one of those things that I can't understand why you just. I mean, I totally understand. It's in their interest to defend this sort of thing because it makes money, but it's also at the same time just have some ethics, man.
Well, it's like, what's frustrating is that, yeah, fine, it's obviously in their best interest to come out and defend it as not being gambling, but according to Twinfinite, who wrote this up, they said that, quote, Epic Games' representative had the gall to patronizingly suggest that the goal of free-to-play games such as its popular Fortnite was not to make money. This frustrates me to no end when a business comes out and says, actually, we're not in the business of making money, we're in the business of making love and art. Yeah, it's exactly.
I'm going to bring this to 2 Simpsons episodes in now, just put Epic over Mr. Burns' big green alien-esque form and just go, I bring you love, but also pay all the stuff for the
please be ethical. There is some hope. The Margot actually did say, quote, I think we have to be vigilant, and if evidence does emerge that loot boxes can be a gateway to problem gambling, then we do need to take that seriously, and we need to take some action, which if you go and read the full thing, which was on Gaming Biz, there's like a really interesting article. It seems like they really sort of know what they're talking about in a way, and they do point towards there being a potential problem. They are encouraging more research into the correlation between problem gambling and loot boxes, but they are right in that the research isn't there now. There are only a handful of studies, so hopefully if more of those come out and do sort of validate that correlation, changes will be made.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because like I think loads of different games are now self-regulating themselves to get away from loot boxes. I mean, it was E3 the other week when everyone was like, "We know a lot of loot boxes, praise us. We're not got any loot. We're not doing a bad thing, please, lovers." And I think the only games that are really doing it right now are FIFA and Fortnite.
Yes.
And you know, FIFA will keep doing that until EA will keep mining FIFA forever, because you know you kids love Ultimate Team and that's what they want to do. But I think the other ones are probably getting ahead of the curve, because I don't see this going any other way eventually.
So fully agree. There was a great video you can watch of like the hearing itself. And there was a moment where someone asks, I think it might be an EA representative, what they think, whether they think loot boxes is ethical. And she says, well, for one, we don't refer to them as loot boxes.
They're called friendship tokens.
Yeah, this is where the surprise mechanics thing came from. And it's like, it doesn't matter if you don't call them loot boxes, they are still loot boxes. It's not the messaging, it's the actual thing. Anyway, we've been rabbiting on about this.
It's not global warming, it's climate change.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah, on to slightly happier news. I mean, the subject matter is a little bit grim, but still, Last of Us 2, those February 2020 rumors will not go away. And this latest one comes by way of Reset Era, or more specifically A9VG. And there was a user on Reset Era called ZHugeEX. He's kind of known
Love
for
all of these usernames.
They're really good. Kind of known for leaking different things. And basically, they said that there was a thing that basically looks like Last of Us 2 is coming in February 2020, which lines up with was Ashley Johnston?
Ashley Johnston.
She kind of had an interview the other month where she was like, "When's it coming out?" And then kind of February kind of seems like the obvious thing. But more interestingly, we now have an idea of the different kind of editions that they're going to be offering come February. So we've got the standard edition, you've got your bog standard edition.
Of course, expected that one.
Yep. The special edition, the Collector's Edition, and the Ellie Edition. I like the alliteration of that last one. And also because Ben Roy's going to buy every single one about 5 times over. Sorry, Ben Roy.
He absolutely will. But you know what? I don't usually buy special editions, but The Last of Us is such a near and dear game to my heart that I might actually splash out. I want the Ellie Edition, not even knowing what is in it, and I won't be able to afford it, but I want to buy it.
What obscene piece of video game tat do you think they could get in the Ellie Edition?
It's a great question. I think it'll be a sort of a statue of her with a guitar on a pile of dead bodies.
Imagine you press it, it's like the fish. What's the fish called that you put on? You find everywhere the fish and they mount on walls and it sings.
Oh, the one that sings?
Yeah.
I hope it sings.
What if it's just Ellie just doing that with the guitar? Either that or they give you your own fungus and you can do something with that. But yeah, that's basically it. Last of Us 2, probably looking more likely than ever that it's going to come out in February next year. Probably alleviating our wallets somewhat as we get towards the year end. And yeah.
That's the weird thing. I was talking to Ben Roy again about this before we came in, and it's great that The Last of Us is coming out next year, but it's almost even better because this year is just so packed, and I would have prioritized it, but we never get games in February, especially big games like The Last of Us. So normally I think that will fill a gap that sort of is usually just quite vacant. But that's cool. I also have some PlayStation 5 news. Ooh. A great little segue there. The Last of Us 2 isn't going to be on the PlayStation 5.
It might be.
As we know.
It might be a cross-generation
unless it's a remaster thing, like The Last of Us 1 was. But there was a Wall Street Journal article about the PlayStation 5 that was released last week, and now sites are trying to sort of dig into it a little bit deeper. And there's a report by Forbes who has translated some of the interview from Sony CEO Kenichiro Yoshida, I hope I've gotten that right, who said that the PS5 is being specifically designed to target, quote, hardcore gamers who obsess over the latest features, and he described the machine as, quote, a niche product aimed at serious players. There's a pause from those non-serious players.
Non-serious.
It's an interesting, I think, choice of words to describe the PlayStation 5 as a niche product, because I don't think any big company sets out to create something that doesn't have mass appeal. No. And the PlayStation 4 certainly had mass appeal. It's the best-selling console of the generation so far. It's sold even better than Sony or anyone expected it to. So I don't think much is going to change with the PlayStation 5. It would be kind of weird. It just seems like they're doubling down on the messaging that this is for the players.
Yeah, for the players. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, they use the G word then, so I have to hate him slightly. Yes. But it's also maybe niche isn't the right word. Maybe they are just saying, Microsoft had that whole thing where they wanted to make the Xbox One this big multimedia platform, and they've kind of divested from that message with Scarlett. But I think, Sony know what they're doing. They're just reiterating that this is the thing's primary purpose is to play games, and that you can play games, and that they're listening to what, kind of the features that games are after. My only worry is that it goes super into the finicky, super ultra bollock stuff, which I really don't care about.
I know what you mean. It's kind of going to be hard because I think back when the PlayStation 4 just launched, they were sort of the only company around still doing the for the player stuff. This is a hardcore, dedicated gaming machine. But now Microsoft have switched their messaging, and that's what they're all about. Nintendo obviously have great games, and they've got a huge casual market. So I don't know what they're going to have to properly etch the PlayStation 5 out with something special, because we keep saying the specs between the Scarlett and the PlayStation 5, at least so far, are virtually identical. So I wonder what kind of services or features they're going to have specific to their console that will make it appeal to the hardcore gamers, apart from just there's a billion teraflops and here are the graphics.
There's less distinguished. I think that's an interesting point you raised there, because there is getting to a point now where there are less and less distinguishing features between both consoles, except for the exclusives. So maybe that's where Microsoft are constantly trying to update their library of first-party studios. We'll get to see Sony potentially expand further on. They've got big IPs like Spider-Man to work with.
Yeah.
We'll maybe see them take that approach again in the next gen, maybe with different characters.
Well, there was a rumor earlier this week about Sony potentially being interested in buying Remedy, who obviously made the upcoming Control, Alan Wake, Max Payne, and that would be a cool acquisition. The higher ups keep saying that they want to acquire more studios, which is smart. That's what Microsoft is doing at the moment, and they, even more so than any other console maker, have built an identity this generation especially as being the place for exclusive big blockbuster games. And it seems like they're just wanting to double down on that with the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, so going away from the PlayStation and consoles, we're going to the PC and Red Dead Redemption 2, because for ages we have constantly been talking about Red Dead Redemption 2 coming to the PC. It's kind of the industry's worst kept secret at the moment, but a new detail emerged over the past day, and it comes by way of Twitter user Jaco Mako 51, after a that name,
probably.
Basically saying he went into the source code of the Rockstar Social Club. You can actually go check it out on Chrome if you want to. When you go into the dev kit, you can actually look at the specific line of dialogue. But basically went in and he found a line dedicated to RDR2 PC accomplishments. And what's so interesting about this is because it's actually next to a line of code that talks about the PS4 trophies. So, this kind of lines up with further information that we've had in the past. Stupid sexy Strauss Zelnick went in an interview a while ago, basically say, hey, you should see those Google images. They're ridiculous.
If you're editing this, throw an image of sexy Strauss Zelnick.
But yeah, basically, that is, he said a while ago that there would be no downsides to having Red Dead 2 come to the PC, and that's kind of the most obvious statement ever. Why shouldn't PC get to play Red Dead?
Yeah, the only reason I'm always iffy about this, I don't know why Rockstar is always so secretive about it. They said the same thing about Grand Theft Auto, and that eventually came to consoles. I don't know why it's never ready to go sort of at the same time as PC. I'm sure Rich could tell me he's more versed in that area, but it always just seems strange, the messaging, because every single time it feels like the industry's worst kept secret.
I wonder if they're just really angsty about all the mods, because I don't know if you ever tried to play GTA Online on PC and you'd just be driving around and a big old UFO would be there and you'd be like, oh gee, a UFO, how neat, and then you get really bored of it because people be modding around all the time.
Well, my memory may be failing me, but was it GTA 5 that caused a controversy a few years ago where Take-Two was starting to ban people who were using mods?
Yeah, they were banning people that were using little kind of glitches in the game that weren't actually, they said they weren't going to patch them out, and then they did anyway, even though they weren't actually harming anyone. And just hang in there, PC gamers, because Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming.
Finally.
Eventually. Maybe this year. There's no official date this far, but it seems kind of obvious. The wealth of evidence is pointing in the direction it's actually going to happen.
Well, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you looking forward to Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC? Are you looking forward to The Last of Us 2 potentially coming out on Valentine's Day next year? What do you guys think about the UK minister saying that loot boxes are
the sinister
not
minister.
Gambling? The sinister minister, not gambling. And are you pleased with the direction that the PS5 is apparently going? Let us know down in the comments. And while you're there, can you give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to WhatCulture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. As we said at the beginning, you can get these lovely t-shirts on Teespring, I think, down in the comments below. Rich, I've tried to do this. I hope I've done it well, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.